Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek a Day. I have another book recommendation, this time from Star Trek Picard, The Last Best Hope by Una McCormick, who has done a bunch of Star Trek books before, and in general, I have enjoyed most of the ones that Una McCormick has written. This is an interesting one because it is a prequel to Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, and after reading it for the first time recently, I think it is definitely an essential part of that story that I think adds a lot more context and depth to the events of Season 1 of Picard. And interestingly enough, I think this is a good read both for people who enjoyed and people who disliked Season 1 of Picard. And I would include myself in that camp. For me, Season 1 was overall a disappointing experience. Did not enjoy it, but I thought it had some interesting ideas to explore. Just didn't think that it did a great job of examining them. But here, in this prequel, I think it almost does a better job, and I think it can be appreciated both by people who didn't like the end result in Picard Season 1, and maybe might have them enjoy it a bit more. And if you liked Picard Season 1, you're going to love this book and the ideas it explores. It is all about the impending disaster in Romulan space as the star is about to go supernova and the Romulan Empire is on the brink of destruction. They're in utter chaos. They don't have as much time as they really need to evacuate the affected area, and Starfleet has dedicated itself to help with that rescue mission, at times against the will, in some cases, of a lot of the Romulans, and it deals a lot with the history and the mistrust and the cultural and political issues that butt heads a lot between Starfleet, between the Federation and the Romulans, and I think it is a great example of that dynamic and of that relationship, both in terms of like the macroeconomic scale of these two empires, getting down to the very personal level and examining again the politics both within the Romulan Empire and the differences, as well as within the Federation, as Picard helms this massive, unprecedented operation that to accomplish this mission, he needs to pull an unbelievable number of resources from Starfleet that leaves a lot of people saying that, hey, we are sacrificing too much that we could be using to help ourselves to help a foreign power, someone who we've been seeing as our enemies for the lifetime majority of the people involved. Should we really be doing this? And the different perspectives and every side of the issue is dealt with interestingly and respectfully, and I thought it was great. No one was really seeing either side as like, these are the villains, and these are the guys who are right. It shows both sides of that issue in an interesting light, both in terms within the Federation and the Romulans, and is a good way of kind of bridging the Picard of the TNG era in the movies and the Picard of the book series for the many, many years afterwards to the Picard of the Picard series. We're seeing how Jean-Luc changed in a way that seems interesting and a realistic character progression in terms of bridging to this new version of Picard. And I think it's handled in a way where I actually enjoyed Jean-Luc and several characters who are first introduced here that you then would see in Picard more in this dynamic than even in the show. So I think it did a really good job, and even some other people that were great in Picard that I did enjoy seeing that build up in the beginnings of the relationships in here as well, without giving away absolutely everything and how things turn out. Though it's a prequel, so if you've seen Picard, you know the gist of what's happened. This provides a lot more, again, just kind of detail and a lot more of an interesting background to where I think it's an enjoyable read. And again, even if you didn't really like that first season of Picard, I think this is almost a more interesting chapter overall in that story, and does a great job examining its themes, and is a fun build-up to the Picard series.